Isn't it amazing the kind of talent we had today? Most of the kids, we can see that it's all motivation. Some of kids just have it. Some of us have to struggle our way through it in life and then discover what it is we are truly motivated for. But here's the interesting part. Over the last 10 years, I've treated thousands of people, either diabetic or obese or having some kind of condition which has just slowed their life down a bit. And when we try to help them regain their health, we find it's really hard. And there's two things that I have learned along the way. When you have some kind of disease which you feel that it's something you eat that's causing your disease, trust me, it's not what you're eating, it's what's eating you. There's always something eating away at the motivation within you. And the second thing I found is when you ask a group of people like this, and I say, are you guys motivated? Everybody will say yes. But when I meet you in a context where we are one-on-one and I ask you, are you motivated? You'll say no. It's really remarkable how demotivated people are today to even do stuff to improve their own quality of life. And our whole goal is now in this motivational economy to somehow have people become independent with being motivated. I'll tell you today why I believe exercise is the single greatest tool going forward in this future that we don't know yet. In the last few years, I've been to 20 cities, 5 countries, just asking one question to every person that I meet. Would you say you are a motivated person? And you'll find it ironic that in every room, every consultation, every patient says, no, I am not motivated, which is scary. Secondly, in my father-in-law's words, when I was about to get married, he asked me, son, are you a go-getter? Now, in my mind, go-getter meant ambitious, right? But funnily, just a few days into marriage, I realized what go-getter meant because every day since, his daughter has told me every morning, go get milk, go get eggs, go get cheese. Then it became go get a job, and today it's go get followers. But end of the day, we have to all be go-getters, right? But what are most people seeking motivation for anyway? See, adversity is easy. When you have something befall you, you will get up and take action. But what I find is there are two things that most people seriously seek every single day of their life. One is, we all know this, some kind of general global purpose. Why am I born? What am I doing here on this planet? Some kind of clarity on this, which is, of course, the Japanese have coined a term for it. It's called ikigai. Thirdly, I have found that in my life, it has evolved decade to decade. Nobody's born at 14 and 15 who figures out what they want to do for the next 50, 60 years on this planet. So it tends to change. Initially, most of us, for lack of better ideas, just go about skilling ourselves. We go learning some or the other skill, which hopefully will then get us work. We can make a living, hopefully raise a family, then on save some money. And lastly, those of us who are smart enough will start giving it back. This is the circle of life that we have been told is what it's all about. This is what purpose is. But it changes in every decade. But while this is good at a global, holistic scale, what do I do right now? I'm standing here giving this talk. You're sitting there listening to this talk. Someone's sitting at home. What are they supposed to do in this moment? I get my global purpose is to help people become more positive, regain health, etc. But right now, my purpose comes from a word, from the Swedish word, juta. What does juta mean? It means joyfulness in the moment, which means savoring what you're doing right now. Whether you're traveling, studying, working, eating, exercising, the tragedy of the human experience is we want rich, immersive experiences all the time. Like the kids who are dancing right now. Or when I'm doing something I'm really focused in, we call it the zone. The point is, can I live my life in such a way that I don't want to be somewhere else all the time? If I'm sitting here, I'm wishing I was with my friends. If I'm sitting somewhere else, I want to be in a third place. That's a very frustrating way to live. The whole goal for most of us is, yes, to have a global purpose, but at the same time, learn to savor the moment. Stop trying to be somewhere else all the time. Where do we see both these? We see it in sport. Any athlete you look at, the guy, whether he's practicing, whether he's playing a match, or whether he's just resting, they just seem motivated all the time. And I've spent a large part of my career studying athletes. In fact, during my post-graduation, I spent time with Olympians saying, how are these guys like this all the time? Are they taking something for it? Whereas for us, maybe 3 days a week we're motivated. The other days, we really don't know how we pass our time. In music, you see musicians composing music, you see them practicing, or you see them performing. They just seem in that zone, which is fascinating for the rest of us, for the normal mortals, right? But how do people find both these? How do they learn what they are born for? And secondly, how do they figure out, how do I enjoy this moment? It's not very hard, but the first one is the typical one. So I've spoken to a lot of 60, 70, 80-year-olds and tried to figure out how did they come upon what it is that they feel that they are meant to have done in this life. And they did it by elimination. They started as something, then they changed something, then another pivot, and eventually over a period of 60 years, they kind of had that clarity, oh yes, I was born to do this. But that takes a long time. Now my dad used to tell me when I was younger, I used to keep asking him, how do I know what I'm born? I'm not passionate. He said, son, you keep digging 3-foot wells in 10 places, you aren't going to find water anywhere. You got to sit down and dig 3 10-foot wells. Only then will you strike water somewhere. But it doesn't happen. We are always looking for, grass is always greener, right? Second one is luck. Now I'll give you a story about luck. I'm sure you know Usain Bolt. When Usain Bolt was 16, 17 years old, everyone in that part of the world tries to play cricket because it's more lucrative to play cricket. And he started out as a fast bowler. But his coach saw him running so fast up to the crease that he said, you know what, son, you go try out for athletics because you're too fast for cricket. And we all know what happened afterwards. So that's how it happened by accident. Now for many of us also, we are here courtesy a bunch of accidents. We never had it by design. Elimination and accident is one way. But I have figured out in my life that the best way to do it is the third way, which is by learning to grind down and repeat one activity repetitively till it's in your subconscious. And what is in your subconscious? It's not necessarily that activity. It's just the fact that you can be a disciplined, focused human being. Take, for example, Buddhist monks. When a young child is ordained into a monastery, he's given 2 buckets, 15-liter buckets and 1 teaspoon. He has to transfer water from one bucket to the other, just sitting there and doing that. Now, at a global level, it looks like that thing has no purpose whatsoever because the minute he's finished transferring one, he has to transfer it back. And that's all he does for a few years. The point was never about transferring the water. The point was about narrowing the focus, removing options. And that's what happens essentially. It happened with me. When I was about 30 years old, I was very confused, very lost. In fact, my wife, I remember she told me one day, she said, I know from 3 to 4 years you're finding yourself. While you're finding yourself, can we go find some work also? So I said, but if I find work, I again won't find myself. She said, the answer you're looking for is you want to find meaningful work. You're not happy just making a living. You want to go beyond that. So let's focus on finding work. We'll eliminate our way through, but can we start focusing on something? And the first thing I did was got back to academics. That's me in Auckland. Absolutely on a fool's errand. I had no idea what I was doing for a good couple of years. But once I studied all that stuff in detail, I spent a lot of time at the fitness center. I met Olympians, studied in detail on what makes great athletes great. Then on, I took all that knowledge and I entered the trails of New Zealand. For 7-8 months, I ran till my shoes wore off. Because I realized that all that knowledge, all that ideation has to be ground into my subconscious somewhere. So you'll find most runners, most swimmers, most cyclists will tell you that somewhere down the line, it starts to seep into your brain that you have to remove options. This is all interesting, isn't it? WIFM in Dubai stands for what's in it for me. So most of you are waiting, okay, this is all cool. What am I supposed to do? Here's what you're supposed to do. You make this safe assumption now that once AI comes into our lives in the next 10 years, it will start performing almost every task of ours. Almost everything from cooking to dropping you to work to performing your work, you're going to have actually nothing mundane or repetitive to do anymore. So how are you then going to find yourself if everything is taken away from you? So you will struggle to find both Ikigai as well as Enjuta. And this is especially true for the next generation because this is a normal day now. A normal day is where we are all reeled in to a myth called inspiration. See, inspiration without action is useless, but inspiration to bridge to action requires sustained motivation. It's very easy to see a reel, get excited about something, but then think about action, but it doesn't actually happen because you lack the basic motivation to go do it. Now, this is my day. I wake up in the morning, I watch 25 reels. I watch 25 in the washroom. Whether I'm doing number 1 or number 2, I am watching reels. Third, 25 on the way to work, 50 at work, 25 on the way back, and 50 before sleeping. What is that sum total? It's 200 reels per person per day. And this is average. If I was not working the much I am, I would probably watch another 100. Now, I did a study of my reels in the last 2 weeks or so. And I found that my social media feed basically consists of inspirational posts maximum. That's 50, which is an aha type moment. Like I need to get that high, like wow, okay, some clarity. Second is the awe, the golden retriever type of reels, where I look at the dog or I look at something and I go, oh wow, that just feels good. Oxytocin stuff. Third is of course humor, which is the epic fail variety or something or the other where someone's insulting somebody else and that kind of comedy stuff. Fourth are ads, which I just skip. So end of the day, this is my social media feeding every single day. So half of it literally is going to inspiration and motivation, and some of it is humor. I've become dependent on this. I need to break free of this. Now, break free, it happens when I understand that I'm not inspiration deficient. I am motivation deficient. The difference between these two words, you read a book, you see a reel, you travel, you meet people, you observe somebody doing something you like, that's inspiration. If you have to start doing it, creating or building a better life or a better quality of life for yourself, that requires sustained motivation. And why do I believe exercise is the best way to do it? Because this is how exercise works. When you visualize somebody doing something that you want for yourself, let's say you see someone running a marathon and you're like, wow, I can do that. That second, you have gone into a dopamine secretion, which is the same you get from sugar. But this is far healthier because you're getting triggered by that sense of future of possibility saying, okay, I can also do that, but you haven't done anything yet. You've just seen it. The second step is you actually get up, join a gym, join a running club. The first 15, 20, 30-minute run that you do or walk or hike or any physical activity beyond 10, 15 minutes, the endorphins come into your body. Your body floods with these natural painkillers. That's what endorphins are. You suddenly can't feel all the aches and pains. You can't feel your age. You're suddenly optimistic. And once this happens, this state lasts for 6 to 8 hours. But this is not enough. It also wears off. What happens after that? The serotonin comes into play. Now, serotonin is our antidepressant. It's where we feel happy, and that's where these words come from, well-being. General optimism is what it's about. In general, you're not a pessimist anymore. You're like, okay, life's good. I'm also good. Things are not so bad. You can handle insults. If someone says something to you or disagrees with you, you're like, it's okay, I can deal with it. Why? Because your serotonin levels are high. But this lasts for 4 to 6 weeks. As long as you keep working out and doing other stuff, yes, you keep building on it. But steady workouts will give you a steady dose of serotonin. And last is the oxytocin. That's the self-love. Now, this in general has to last for years because the adversity of aging is coming. It's like a Mack truck which is going to hit all of us. At that point, we are going to depend on the body to help us stay positive. And you need a body which can do that, which is trained in the art of serotonin secretion and oxytocin secretion. The best way to do this is simple. How do you start? Simple. There are 4 stages of a workout. See, I must have sent close to 20,000 people to work out, and I know for a fact out of 100, only 30 people continue working out after a month. Okay? 70% drop out after the first month because they find it too hard, too monotonous. They're not willing to do the effort. But there are 4 stages to every workout and to every workout plan. The first one is, why am I here? You've gone to the gym, you started running, you're like, but why am I here? Because humans love asking existential questions for no reason at all. You're like, what am I going to get in these next 20, 30 minutes? You can't figure it, you're bored, you put on something on Netflix, and soon you're like, it's done, I'm leaving. But the truth is, the good stuff is just after this. The first 15 minutes later, you'll start counting on your watch. How much is left? How much is left? You're constantly counting down the minutes in a workout. But after this comes, now that I'm here, I might as well do it. So you'll finish it because that sense of completion adds to your serotonin in your head. You're like, okay, I'm not so bad after all, I'll finish it. And once you finish this, comes the flow stage, which is called, can I just be here? Now, every activity that you take up, which essentially has to take you into a flow, is like this. Whether it's weight loss, whether it's sugar control, whether it's preparing a dance, doing anything creative, it goes through the 4 phases. All I'm telling you is exercise is the best place to train your brain. Of course, meditation is a very close second, but meditation can be a lot harder and it takes a lot more years to get good at it. It's tricky. Exercise is relatively easy. Your body is always ready to exercise. You just get up, put yourself in that ecosystem, and you can start doing it. Okay? Just to give you an example, this is Dilip from Chennai. In 4 months, 25 kgs. Now, why am I showing you this? If you read the post he sent me, he said, I was broke, I was depressed. And in 4 months, he's optimistic again. He's positive. He couldn't walk 600 meters. He's now running 6 kilometers. All that has translated into a better quality of life, into focus at his job. He's getting promoted. The point is, when you start focusing on one area of your life, it will magically spread to all the others. So ladies and gentlemen, my message to you today, just start a little exercise and watch your life change in a few months from now. Thank you very much.